Okay, in this next few modules, I wanted to sit down to give more of an intimate or one-to-one feel and talk kind of casually through this because there's a few specific things that you are going to see me doing in this program, and I'm going to be making references to a couple things, and you're going to have like good enough kind of awareness to understand what I'm talking about. So in this, what you're going to be noticing through this entire program, okay, is I'm going to be using animal references. Now, when I make here's what I'm going to tell you. When I make comparisons about animals, you're going to notice me talking about cats and lions a lot. These are both cats. A lion, I guess, is kind of in the cat kingdom, I think. Okay, the reason why I'm saying I think is because just like in general, obviously, I'm not an expert on animals. Okay, so before anyone gets like all uptight, like, oh, I saw this on this network, or I read this book, and that's actually not true about the lion kingdom or the animal, whatever. Okay, that's not the point. The point is, the reason why I'm making this is because I want you to understand the overall general analogies of when I make this reference or these points in this program. So in this, I'll be using animal references. No, I'm not an expert on animals. Now, there's two key components as we get going on this program and as you go through it that we are going to be discussing. The main animals I'm going to be focusing on is overall cats, okay, or cats and lions. Lions in general, or like lions is a type of cat. So both of these I would consider cats, but I kind of separated them here into two different categories because there's some key takeaways from both of them that you can learn. So the first thing is that a cat, okay, if you kind of look at some key traits here, a cat runs away a lot of times from people. A cat doesn't a lot of times go towards people. It runs away, okay, especially from strangers. Now, if it knows the person, right, if it knows the human, it will come, okay, and it will typically be gentle. But in essence, in general, right, cats mainly avoid, okay, so they avoid people. They run away, okay, and they're snappy. They want to be left alone a lot of times, especially by strangers. I'm going to be showing you how some of these characteristics you can 100% use when dealing with any sort of dating interactions, relationships that you have. And this is going to come in handy. But over here, we're also going to be talking about lions throughout this program, okay? And when I bring in the lion reference, the imagery that I want you to kind of come into your head as you go through this is they are large, right? The size is big. They are the king, right? The lion is looked at as the king, and the lion sits there because he's the man lion, the male lion, right? He just sits there and he's content. He's strong and he's resilient, okay? Now, a big thing about lions, okay, and lionesses, now don't quote me on this and be like, there's sometimes, if you go and you look up this, there's sometimes lions will pursue a lioness, a female lion occasionally too. Yeah, okay, maybe. Like I said, I'm not an expert on animals. That's why I'm making this, because I'm just going over a general reference. The general rule, okay, or the general principle of how it works is the female lions pursue the male lions. The female lions are called the lionesses. In essence, they will typically pursue the male alpha lion. But what I'm getting at and why I'm drawing this out for you is because if you're a man and you kind of start to bring in these two characteristics or emulate these two characteristics of cats and lions, which I consider both in the cat kingdom, right? I don't even know if that's a word, right? Cat kingdom. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not an expert on animals. I'm making these comparisons so that way you can actually attract the type of women that you want to attract and that you want to date, right? In essence, these are two elements, or these are a few elements, right, of two different, sets of traits here when it comes to cats in general, and specifically just like overall like house cats, right, that people have as pets, or of lions that men can start to adopt and men can kind of consume. Because if you're a man and you start to embody even just a few of these at certain times with women, okay, if I'm going to put a W for women right here, what you're noticing with this is that the women, we are making sure you attract them and they pursue you, right? So I have an arrow here, the W, the women are coming to the men. This is what you want. This satisfies a woman's mating strategy, and they're happy when they have to pursue a man. The main thing is that a woman today typically doesn't have any men that they are actively pursuing because men don't know how to make themselves either, number one, attractive enough, or number two, valuable enough so a woman would want to pursue them. I'm going to be showing you through this consistently how to position yourself properly so that way a woman can actually step into her natural feminine nature, her natural female nature, and actually pursue you as a man. The reason why oftentimes you feel weak, right, when you're pursuing a woman, or the reason why oftentimes you are going to feel like if you even try to oftentimes approach a woman, let's say in public, and start talking to a stranger, the reason why guys get anxiety when this happens is because that is your internal senses or your biology, right, closing off to that circumstance. What I'm showing you is I'm showing you that these things happen for a reason, right? So these things happen for a reason because what you're going to see is that is not the natural way of doing things. So I'm going to show you how to get rid of all of those fears of rejection. I'm going to show you how to actually make sure that you do this accordingly so it's easy to attract the women that you want, because we are making it so the women come to you and the women pursue you as a man, which is 100% what you're wanting. It makes the whole dynamic of these dates and these interactions far easier. Okay, now another thing that we are going to be covering very thoroughly over the program at each stage of how to act when you are dealing with a woman is going to be overall test passing. Okay, so first I'm going to explain what a test is, and then I'm going to explain why it's important to pass these tests, and then I'm going to be explaining the types of tests that actually occur. So the very first thing we should talk about is what is a test, okay? A test is something that a woman does to typically verbally stand up to you or put you in an uncomfortable situation to see if you are strong enough or resilient enough to take it, and to see if you will become emotionally reactive or not. Now, women constantly do this. If her eyes are open and she is awake, this is the saying I use, if she's awake and living and her eyes are open, she is testing you 24/7. She's testing your sub-communication. She's testing your emotions. She's constantly evaluating you. She's constantly seeing if you are the best fit. Women only respond to strength, and women want the strongest, most valuable man that they can obtain. And because of that, she's constantly testing your value. So that is a test. Now, let's talk about the two types of tests that you're going to have to deal with. I really break these up into only two categories. There's tests that happen pre-sex, and there's tests that happen post-sex, okay? Pre-sex, you're going to deal with interest tests. She's constantly testing your interest level, okay? These are oftentimes in different dating communities referred to as shit tests, but I don't like calling them that because I don't really think it's a very good, accurate representation of what she's actually doing. Like, you can kind of say that if you want, like, oh yeah, she's giving you shit. She's shit testing you, but really she's not. Like, she's testing your fucking interest level. She wants to see how interested you are in her. Now, if you're super interested in her, when she tests you, you're going to oftentimes backpedal and get reactive and try to qualify yourself to her. And now she knows that you're weak or you're needy, or specifically what she really knows is that her sexual market value is above yours. So she's like, I view myself as a 9. I tested him and he's like not really responding well, and he seems like I'm the best that he can get, so he's probably like a 7 and I'm above him, and there's no way I want this guy. That is how interest tests work, okay? So interest tests is everything that happened pre-sex, when she's gauging your sexual market value, and if she even views you as a companion or not. Like, she's evaluating you, is this guy the type of guy I would be with romantically, or is this the type of guy who I would friend zone, or even worse than that, is this the type of guy who I would never talk to because he creeps me out? So interest tests, okay, this is like the main thing that she's doing to gauge your interest level, and she's doing this to evaluate your sexual market value to know if you are a potential companion for her or not. So some things you're going to run into is like showing up late, right, for like a date maybe, right, or coming with just like a bad or a cold attitude to see how you'll deal with that. Another thing that she might do is maybe like, let's say you text her on Wednesday to try to see her, or to maybe go out on a date, or to invite her to a social gathering with friends. Maybe you text her on like a Tuesday and you're trying to make plans for that Friday night. Maybe she just won't reply to it for a day. Maybe she'll wait 24 hours just to see, like, is his interest so high that he's going to double text me? You don't want to do things like that. You need to let things play out. You're going to see why later on, but this is what you're going to see. Another thing that you're going to notice is vocal tone changes. This one just happened to me last week, Saturday. I was at a pool party. One of the girls I've been talking to or flirting with, I said something, or I commented back at one of the questions that she asked, and she goes, "Ugh, you're so rude." But she said it like, I could just tell she has high interest in me, so I could tell even she was hesitant to say it, right? But her female nature, her female hardwiring, her female intuition, like, still makes her do it. So she goes, "Ugh, you're so rude." Tone changes are going to be used to gauge if you are going to get reactive or not, to see if you will fall into her frame, and to see if you're going to try to verbally backpedal or qualify yourself to her, because she wants to really see if you put her up on the pedestal, and essentially if you view her beauty and her sexual market value above yours. So another thing you're going to notice is her maybe potentially trying to disagree with you, right? To see if you're going to change your mind. There was one time last summer I was driving down the street in my pickup with a woman, and I commented on a shirt, and I go, "That shirt color is hideous." And she goes, "I don't think it's that bad." But it was like clearly hideous. The pattern looked very bad. It was very evident that it was hideous. But she wanted to see if I would then change my mind, right? She wanted to see if I would backpedal and if I would say something different and go, "Oh yeah, you're right." The second I do that, it shows that I'm not willing to stick by my opinion, and she's not going to value me. Another thing you're going to notice, and this is a huge one, and this is so sneaky, okay, is the availability tests. So if you say, "Hey, drinks Friday," even if she has nothing going on, she might say, "Oh, I'm busy Friday. I got a friend in town," right? "But can we do Saturday? Can we do Saturday instead?" And now you asked her Friday, which means green flag, you're open and available. But if you agree to Saturday and now you're open Saturday too, now it looks like you have nothing going on for the whole weekend. Low value. Now it also looks like you don't have any other women that you're talking to. Low value. Looks like you have no other dates to set up. Low value. It looks like she might be your only option. Low value. And now she's going to question your sexual market value and potentially not talk to you or go out on a date ever. So be very aware. Women miss out on great guys all the time. Women miss out on attractive men all the time, because they don't, they go with their own intuition and their own female hardwiring often, right? And they oftentimes hold out far too long, but that's a conversation for a different day, right? So just you being in this program, right, it shows you're an action taker. It shows you care about your life. It shows you're wanting results in your dating life. It shows you want a companion and you want to be a man with a woman. And that's a great thing. That's a beautiful thing. That means that you have goals. So I applaud you. The fact that you're in here, right, means that you're already probably a great and attractive man. Now it's just about us positioning you properly, right? So that way it comes together, right? And they can see your value too. So this is what you're going to notice pre-sex, right, is interest tests. Now, going over here, let's say you guys have slept together, or you guys are dating, or you're in a long-term relationship, or you guys are seeing each other. This is all of the tests that happen post-sex. Now, post-sex, I mainly just call these booty whipped tests. Like if you get booty whipped, that means you're weak, right? You're weak for sex. You're booty whipped. You're attached. These are booty whipped tests. These occur just to see if you're weak or not. So women, basically, in a nutshell, categorize alphas from betas through men who get attached and men who don't. So men who do not get attached to women emotionally and do not fall in love, These are the men that they qualify as alpha, and these are men that they want to keep seeing. The men that get attached and emotionally attached to a woman, that attachment signals weakness, okay? Because you got to remember, women are not looking at it as modern day times. Women are looking at it as like the biology and the programming is virtually the same, right? From 500 years ago, when there was no heating, lighting, electricity, all that stuff. Humans were still very primal, right? So that's how the psychology, the hardwiring is. So they can't help it, right? They just close off. They separate alphas from, weaker men, if you want to call that beta. They separate that based off men who get attached and men who don't. The men who get attached are going to be looked at as more beta and weak, and she's going to leave the relationship and exit in due time. So booty whip tests are to see if you are weak for her yet. Mainly all she's going to do is she's going to pull back and see if this makes your emotions go haywire. Always, and I mean always assume a pullback, because it will come. I don't care if you have the most amount of money in the world. I don't care if you're 6'5". I don't care if you're the most famous man on the planet. I don't care if you have been with 1,000 other women before her. She doesn't care either. At all times, her female nature is going to be optimizing to see if you are a strong fit for her, and she can't help it. She's just going to pull back to see what it will do to your emotions. So that's the main thing. Now, how might a woman do this? One of the ways is going to be maybe starting an argument. Maybe she's not going to yet quite pull back, right? Maybe you'll still hear from her on text message and whatnot, but maybe she's going to try to start a big argument. Or what she's really going to do in your head is she's going to try to put fear of loss, right? So I'm going to write loss right here, LOSS, fear of loss. She's trying to install fear of loss in your brain. So let's say she starts an argument. She wants to implement fear of loss in your brain. If you care about her a lot and you're in love with her, you're going to show that you're scared. You're going to show that fear. Now you're put in the wrong category. Now she does not view you as alpha, and now she exits. So seeing if you are scared to lose her, this is huge. Women will do this. Now, last but not least, another thing that this boils down to overall is just seeing what you will actually put up with, seeing what she can get away with. And she's going to do this, especially if she starts to view you as weak. She might do things like, I wonder if me texting my ex-boyfriend and having him see it, I wonder what he's going to do about that. She will especially start to do these things if she senses you getting weak, right? So seeing what you'll put up with. Now, that's an extreme case, right? Cheating is an extreme case. Let's look at a less severe case. Comes home from work. You're expecting to see her. She throws all of her shit across the kitchen counter, acts totally rude, and acts like that's acceptable and that you're supposed to be okay with that. Just seeing what you're going to put up with, right? Not having frame in your life, not having, I hate the word boundaries, but it's true, right? Not commanding respect or acting like, her acting entitled to your time and your attention despite her behavior is probably the best way to put that. So these are the two types of tests you're going to be seeing. You're going to be seeing interest tests, pre-sex. Some people refer to these as shit tests. I prefer to use the term interest because that's what she's doing, is she's testing your interest level to see if you'll backpedal on your statements, your arguments, your qualifications, and see if she can get you to change. And then over here, right, constant tests, I call these booty whipping tests or booty whipped tests to see if you're weak for her or not, is mainly going to be her pulling back. So these are the tests that you want to look out for. Now, the reason why I don't want to go into depth and say, when this test happens, say this response. When this test happens, say this response. That is not how a social interaction works, okay? There's an element and nuance of this where there's a level of finesse and social skill needed to handle situations like this. You don't want to be pulling from a vault of 20 questions with 20 different answers in your head when you're talking to a woman. You want to understand the fundamental concepts and then you just want to apply the appropriate answer in that situation or in that circumstance. Anybody who tries to give you a list of memorized stuff or memorized lines or, when X occurs, Y happens, input, output, that's not how life works, and that's not how women work at all. Anyone doing that is just trying to get by. It's not how life works, and that's not how women work. So the biggest way that you can pass majority of these when they occur is by taking a second, half second to a second, quick breath of fresh air, and just realize that you are not supposed to get reactive. If you get reactive, she has moved you off center. If she's moved you off center and you're reactive, it shows that you have lost your frame. The way that you can pass most of these, okay, is by not getting reactive. Okay? You can apply that method of not getting reactive and not feeding into any sort of emotional drama. If she types a big paragraph to you on text message, maybe you take 12 to 24 hours to reply to it. Maybe you just like the message and don't reply at all. You understand what I'm saying? You don't get reactive. Most guys, at the smallest little hiccup in a dating interaction or in a relationship with a woman, they backpedal and they try to appease her emotions, and they totally lose the frame, and then she totally thinks he's weak, and then it's completely over. Okay? So you do not want that to be you. Now, like I said earlier, even though I'm not an animal expert, okay, comparison I want to make is going to be, in this instance, for example, the lion. If, let's say, the female lioness, who's only half his size, half his strength, really wants to do one of these things, start a little argument, hiss at him, scratch at him, right? He's strong. He's the alpha of the kingdom. He doesn't care. He's just going to sit there and go, It's not urgent to react, not urgent to reply, not urgent to see her, not urgent to calm her down. He's just going to let her be the female cat. This is the easiest way to understand this. There's interest tests and there's booty whipped tests for once you've entered into a relationship with her. So keep this in mind. Test passing, a key concept to understand through this entire program as we internalize game and as we internalize female nature at probably the highest level you've ever seen. Okay, so we are going to very calmly talk about a topic that I think most people are scared to talk about. I think most people are scared to address this. We live in a day and age where it's very cool to hook up, right? We live in a day and age where it's really cool to be promiscuous. Whatever the case may be, we live in a day and age where that's more normalized and it's the way it's supposed to be. I'm going to explain to you how a woman's brain operates, and I'm also going to show you why emotional investment that a woman gives you emotionally is far greater and it's far superior than the sexual investment that you could or would receive from her. And I'm even going to take this a step further and explain to you why, if you're able to get her to emotionally invest in you, you are now the only man that she genuinely wants to sleep with and consistently sleep with. So hear me out. Let's start with the first. Emotional investment is far greater than sexual investment. How do you know this, or how do I know this? Because I want you to think about every woman you've ever been with in the past that you've slept with. You are probably not with any of them, okay? You are not with 100% of them, okay? Just think about that for a second. So if people want to know, how do you keep the girl you're attracted to, or how do you make sure things work out, or how do you make sure that girl stays consistently liking you? Sex clearly isn't the answer. What you're going to see is it oftentimes does not make relationship success any better. So here's what you have to understand. Lust in general, like lusting for a woman sexually, lust and trying to sleep with a woman is so bad. Okay, this is not good. This makes you emasculated. Even if you're able to obtain the date, obtain, a great interaction and sleep with the woman, lust and trying to sleep with a woman is so bad because it naturally makes you put them up on the pedestal, okay? It naturally makes you pedestalize a woman because you want that sex. You want what's between her legs. You want to sleep with her. It naturally makes her at the higher value, and it naturally makes you put her up on the pedestal because now she has something that you want. Well, let's reverse this here. What do you have as a man that she could want? Most men don't know. And most men don't know how to position their own attractiveness so that way they give themselves an opportunity to be pursued or desired by a woman, which is the natural dynamic of how things are supposed to occur. The reason why I know this is the natural dynamic of how things are supposed to occur is because a woman's whole nature is to seek safety, survival, and reassurance and security from a man, which means you're not supposed to need her for anything, okay? Which means it's her duty to seek out men that are strong, categorized as potentially alpha, and men who definitely understand the language of women and what a woman is looking for when it comes to the soul and masculine spirit of the man. So, women are good at seeking you out if you demonstrate the right things. When you want her sex, it naturally puts her up on the pedestal. You want something from her. You are in pursuit. Well, let's reverse this and think about this from a different angle. What could you offer that she could want? Aha, now we're on the right track. Lust naturally makes you put them up on the pedestal. I don't care how beautiful she is. I don't care if she's a runway model. You have to remove lust from your brain. Needing and desiring sex makes you emasculated. This makes you not very strong. You're coming at a place where you're putting women oftentimes before yourself. So when you pedestalize sex, this is why girls or women, right? So when you pedestalize sex, this is why women don't like you, okay? This is why they stop liking you, because they know on a deep down biological level, they know that their womb, right? Their womb, their ovaries, their sexual agency is the one thing that men do not have. You can do everything as a man, but you obviously cannot reproduce or have new life without that woman. She knows that this is the one thing that you're not able to do. She knows this. So that means if you act indifferent to it, or you act like you don't want it or need it, or you act like you don't even care, right? When you act indifferent to it, they want you, and they now want to sleep with you. Now, I'm going to explain to you how this ties into emotional investment. In her woman brain, in her female brain, she's sitting there going, ugh, he wouldn't sleep with me, and I really like him, and he wouldn't even try to sleep with me, so I decided to cook for him, and hopefully now he likes me more. He kissed me, but now, now I'm going to send him a good morning text with a kiss face, because I really like him, because he acts indifferent to me, and he doesn't necessarily even need to sleep with me or act like he even desires it. I better try harder. And now look at her emotional investment go up and up and up and up. This is how a woman's brain works. Emotional investment is better than sexual investment. If you get her sexual investment, okay, but if she's not emotionally invested into you, she doesn't care about you, she can easily discard you and move on to the next guy, because she also sees that naturally you were putting her sex and beauty, for that matter, up on the pedestal, which is why you wanted it so much, which makes her naturally think that you're low value. So, you want her to invest in you as a human being. This is how a woman falls in love. You don't want her just to sleep with you. You want the woman to love you. You want the woman to fall head over heels in love with you. You want her to look at you and go, I could not live without that man ever. I love him so much. I'd do anything to help him. I want to assist him. I want to be by his side. That's what you want. Deep down, that's what every guy wants. They just tell themselves that, they want sex. Well, okay, do you? Or do you want that close companionship where that woman desires you? What men really want is to feel desired. You want to feel loved and respected and appreciated by that woman. Most guys just settle for the sex because they tell themselves that that's good enough. But that one girl that you really want, you want her to do both. You obviously want her to desire you on a sexual level, but you also want her emotional investment. By you being attached to lust, this makes it way harder to actually have something that works. She sees how weak, how needy you've became, and how much you desire that intimacy. You desire that woman's touch so much she thinks you're weak. So in her brain, she's going, he wouldn't sleep with me, or he's indifferent to me. He doesn't necessarily care if he sleeps with me. So you know what? I'm going to cook for him and say, or just anything. I'm going to send him a good morning text. I'm going to be sweet to him. I'm going to do this for him. I'm going to ask him if he wants to go get coffee with me. She's going to start to try, right? Most of you've been in dating interactions or relationships with women who are indifferent and don't really care. Right? And that's why they pull back and they do this stuff, is because they don't necessarily fully like you. So what I tell myself, right, Her wanting sex from you is far greater than the reverse. And the reverse would be you wanting sex from her. As soon as you want anything from her, a kiss, you want to sleep with her, you want to even take her out on a date, like the lion, the big alpha lion is not supposed to pursue the female kitty cat lioness. It's just the wrong dynamic. She's seeking reassurance. She needs to seek reassurance from you. She needs to seek out the survival value that you can bring to the table. And when she does that, you're going to notice she naturally wants to give you her reproductive value, which is her. Lust is so bad. Lust makes men weak. Now, I'm even going to take this a step further. You can blame lust, or you can think, like, anytime you're doing anything, anytime you look at that girl and you go, man, she's so beautiful, I want to take her out. I'd love to just, like, I want to sleep with her and I want to do all this stuff. And you tell yourself in your brain, your logical brain, you think, oh, if I do all that stuff with her, she'll fall in love with me. No, she won't. Because she sees her beauty controls you. She sees that. So, you wanting or needing sex is why all of your relationships and why all of your dating interactions fail. And this is a hard pill to swallow, because I'm going to take this right in two different areas or two different situations here. Let's just look at the first step with a woman, right? If you approach a new woman, if you talk to a new girl, I don't care if you're in a social group with 5 other guys, 10 other guys. I don't care if, and there's 10 other girls around. I don't care if it's 1-to-1. I don't care if you're at the gym. I don't care if you're walking down the street. I don't even care if it's online. I don't care. Your whole approach, the reason why all of your relationships fail and you're not able to actually like have good vibe and connection and have fun and play the type of, back and forth dynamic that the woman's looking for, is because you're in your head plotting the next 2 moves of what you think you should say to hopefully be able to get the intimacy. You want it so bad. She feels that try hard energy. She feels that you need her. Now take it in the long-term relationship aspect. The guy starts to appease her. The guy starts to please her. The guy starts to put her up on the pedestal. The guy starts to do all of this stuff. The guy starts to literally change himself in who he is and become what he thinks she wants, all for what reason? To hopefully not lose that one thing, the sex. You're scared to lose that. So then you start acting in ways you know that you shouldn't. So this is why lust is so bad. And what you're going to notice is the less you want, honestly, any of them, the more they actually start to want you. So you got to remember too that sexual investment does not equal emotional investment. And we know this and we can see this. There's women out there who've slept with tons of guys and they don't really care for any of them or even want any of them. Well, what does that show you? That shows you that that's not the thing that actually hooks their heart in love and keeps them desiring one specific man for an extended period of time. Now, if all you're concerned about is gaining that access sexually, sure, you can ignore some of this stuff, but it's not going to help your dating interactions if you want to continuously see that woman. You're going to need to know how to make her want to invest in you. So, in a nutshell, this is how this works, and this is a super good kind of turnkey concept I want you to start to internalize as we slowly work our way through this together. Okay, guys, now this is part 2 regarding lust and why you need to remove this and why it is not in your best interest level to ever lust after a woman, and why this actually makes it way harder for you to attract them. Here's what lust does. When you have high attraction to a woman, what happens? You want to initiate touch more. So we'll write a T here for touch. You start to, you want to sleep with her. So not only do you initiate touch, right, you're constantly happy around her, right? And she can tell you like her. She can tell you're attracted to her. You're constantly maybe trying to escalate and progress things. And the reason why this completely crushes your dating interactions is because what you've done now is you have revealed your interest level. Once you have revealed your interest level, now she sees you are low sexual market value or lower sexual market value than her. And now hypergamy takes over and she questions if you are the best that she can do. And now her brain starts to think she can do better, because if you are lusting after her this much and she sees that you really, really, really want her, now she really, really, really doesn't want you. It's always in your best interest to conceal your interest level, right? Make sure that it is her coming to you and you 100% want to make sure that she is viewing you as the higher value, and you demonstrate this by showing her that her beauty holds no weight over you, right? The second her beauty holds weight over you, you're basically falling weak to your own lust. You want to start to touch her more. You want to start to be around her more. You're happier around her. You start to escalate things. You've revealed your interest level. That means you've revealed your sexual market value, and now she starts to pull away.